Welcome out to the AI Think Tank podcast. This is our eighth show, and today we're talking with Toby Morning and Karsten Wade from Kwaai, and we'll be discussing the personal AIOS operating system that's behind the efforts of Kwaai. And Kwaai has worked to democratize AI for end users in an open source way. They are a nonprofit organization and are volunteer ran and have many interesting sponsors and a lot of notable new members lately. And I'm so excited to have you guys on. About 4 shows ago, we had Riza on, the founder. I had to give you guys some time. You were in the field doing some really exciting things. So it's a delight to have you both. So, and everybody,
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah,
Toby's you guys are in California down in the Bay Area, right?
yep.
All
Yeah,
right.
Monterey Bay Area, San Francisco, close enough.
That's it. And so Toby is the founder of Semantic Seed Studio, a product leader, an angel investor, a mentor, a community builder, and an open source advocate. And Karsten Wade, he's done so much, but I'm going to limit it to a partner, founder, chief community architect for OCA, which is the Open Community Architects. And so you have an extensive background, including working with Red Hat, Linux, and so many other exciting projects. And so it's a pleasure to have you both here today. Let's get going and tell everybody what this is about and what this hackathon is about.
Yeah, for sure. For
Right.
sure. Yeah, I'll go backwards because it was Toby who brought me into the project. So I can going backwards in time. I joined back in December, and right away I could see that this was aside from it being a new breakthrough time in technology, a sort of like, well, we Gutenberg press, AI, like are we at one of those big sea switching points and sea change points in human history? And it really was feeling like it. And then I come in and start working in this open community, and it's doing a lot of things just the way I would expect and things going on. But there were other very innovative ideas around how to structure the organization, how to do a foundation so that it was sustainable, making sure it was a nonprofit that was beholden to the people and not to corporations, really trying to build the brand around that. And one of the amazing things about it is it gives us an opportunity to really start working on the hackathons, on putting forth something that was, something for people to do, because open source projects or open communities, people want to come and check out what you're up to and see what that thing is. And if, until we have the code actually up and running for the pAIOS, or the personal AI operating system, so that people can actually use it in a regular sense, wanted to find something else that was going to get people together. And
Right.
and I don't know, over a year ago, I think Toby started thinking about and putting the hackathon onto the calendar from the very beginning for Kwaai, as one of the ways to raise attention, to help raise sponsorship and funds and just general support all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And I've seen you guys make a lot of progress as a member myself. I think I've been with Kwaai for about 2 months now. And
Okay.
just incredible to see the growth and what's going on. Toby, how did you get involved in Kwaai in the very beginning?
Funny enough is my history with Kwaai predates the nonprofit, actually. So I've known Reza for 20 years. He's kind of been a mentor of mine over the years, as being someone, who's not white in the C-suite, and having someone who looks like me and that, I could call upon. So he's been a great friend over the years. And when he told me that he was retiring and starting a nonprofit, you know, I said, okay, well, I know Reza doesn't have any experience with a nonprofit. I have a little bit. So let me just see what I can do to help out. And so that was kind of the first connection to Kwaai, the nonprofit project. Is My friend said he was retiring and he wasn't retiring, so I wanted to help with what he was doing.
Right.
So that the way I saw helping was, okay, if we have an open source project, we're going to need to build community. We're going to need to build developers. What better way to build community and developers than to create events that bring those people that we're trying to build in our ecosystem together?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the idea. And the other side is, you need programs for a nonprofit, for sponsors and donors to get behind. So we have a track. Supports our build track. We have two other tracks, as you know, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And so this supports the build track and allows us to engage with sponsors, with more developers. It's broadened the community, right? Because so many other kind of domain experts are seeing how they can plug into the personal AI system for what they're doing.
Right.
And me personally, it started with coding, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mentor in Techstars last summer, and the Tulsa program, to be exact. And there's a focus on minority founders in that program. And as a mentor, I noticed that there were quite a few non-technical founders.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, that's awesome that you can get into Techstars and not be a technical co-founder, right? And so I wanted to kind of help them uh, bridge that piece of not being a technical co-founder, but needing to maybe create a product requirement document or something that a outsourced team that could build for them, their MVP. And so that was kind of where I started looking at AI and how it could help and assist in that. And that's where I dug in and started working on tools with a friend around coding and using AI to do code generation so that we could help these founders get to market with their MVPs with a lot less cost.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And so that was my personal alignment with AI. And then I saw what Reza was doing, and I was like, okay, well, this aligns with what I'm personally trying to do, and I can help someone that I've known, and respect for years. So it
Right.
was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm with you because I had a just living in Seattle for the past 24 years really put me in the crosshairs of a lot of projects that Paul Allen helped create. And
Yep.
I had so many wonderful experiences here in this town because of Paul Allen. And it was at the Real Networks. That's where Reza he retired as the CTO. And
Yep.
learning that, I was like, oh man, where did you stay? We were almost neighbors, okay, for a few years. So it's a small world, but and so I was delighted to find that out. And then when I came into my first meeting, which to everyone's who doesn't know, every week Kwaai has on Fridays at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. respectively, two different meetings back to back. One is a town hall meeting, and where new people eventually come up and introduce themselves, but we cover a lot of ground there. And then we have the sort of the after party for that, which is where we really boil down a lot more technical ideas behind the scenes.
I
And
like that you said after party. I like that.
yeah, that's what it is, though. It's
Well,
truly what it is.
and it's a
And
good call because like whatever we comes up during the first meeting, that's like whether well, like you say, technical things, but sometimes like yesterday, I started off by presenting an org chart for how I think the organization might actually be structured in a way that we can talk about how to talk about it and how it was, right? And it was that was a great discussion, right?
So this is cool because you want to hear something funny. This is actually how the hackathon started.
That's right.
yeah,
That was
No,
the hackathon.
literally, Daniel, you don't know. Like this is the call after the main call was
uh-huh.
literally the hackathon. When I
Yeah.
first started it last fall, it was me and my bro and a couple other people, Connor, like some of the
Yeah.
early code contributors. We just started writing code. We were like, let's just hack. Like we'll let them deal with the policy track and the,
Mhm.
building the organization. And we were there for each weekly meeting, but we would also break out and like start working on code. And so
Yeah.
we were the ones that created the Git repo and did the first commit. And
Uh-huh.
through that, we were like, you know what? Let's start doing an event after the weekly to try to get some of the people who are coming on these calls to build the coder community who's
Mhm.
going to actually build this product that we're talking about on this
Right.
call.
Right.
And that was the first way that we called it a hackathon. It was like
Mhm.
the hackathon call is after this one. You're welcome to
Mhm.
join. And I ran with that idea once we started thinking about, okay, we're a nonprofit now, we need to fundraise.
Mhm.
Right. I was like, this is the perfect program vehicle, guys. We've already got it. We've already been promoting it. It's a
Mhm.
natural, we can just step into this.
Right. Right. You have so many. I mean, right now I'm looking at the sponsor list that, has grown over the, short amount of time. You got Arcus, Nexus, and Platinum. Chase is a sponsor. Salesforce, Wiley, College of the Canyons, what is it? SoCal Linux Expo.
Yeah, so those
Is a sponsor. AI4 is a sponsor. This show, the AI Think Tank podcast, is a sponsor, and here we are. Uh, so it's amazing to see, just who all have come together around this. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me either because you have a lot of bright minds and friends, and then you hear some great ideas. It's like being in a band or knowing some musicians. Hey, let's jam, and all of a sudden this jam gets bigger and it becomes this hackathon, and that's how you do
yeah,
it. You fill it out. This is an exciting open source project. There's so many angles on the levels of participation and what someone can do. And it teaches you a lot too, and it's so much fun. And those are some of the best meetings ever. Every Friday, they're
Yeah.
great.
One
We
of
had
the
docs. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, no, you were going to make another point. Yeah, let you finish your point. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
and then Doc Searles, what he went over this, yesterday was wonderful. So I mean, there's a lot of people coming to talk, and you never know what you're going to get because every week someone new comes in with a lot of resource or a lot of perspective to help in different ways, be it code or in the entertainment industry with outreach, just many different angles of participation. So and there's a tour that you guys have set forth here. It's a physical moving tour across the US. Is that right?
That's right.
yeah,
Right.
that
First
is
class
right.
starts June 21st in Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. So is this are you going to fly around or are you going to actually drive to all?
I think I like to come home in between, so I think we'll be
There we
flying
go.
around.
Okay. That's what I figured. Okay.
Get the Toby and me in an RV. That'll
So,
be fun.
well, hey, if there's any sponsors out there that want to throw me and Karsten in an RV or a Sprinter van
I'm
and
saying
throw your brand on the outside of it,
I
right? We're
didn't say no.
definitely open to that, right?
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to do was touch on some of the other sponsors that we
Yeah.
haven't actually announced.
Okay.
So, this will kind of be an exclusive for you, and we're going to really start pushing, these people out like next month. June 1st is kind of when we really want to push it out. So these are they've either supported through financial support, location, or some sort of
In kind.
marketing partner, in kind donation. Exactly. So I'll just give you some of them. Techstars, obviously, good friend of Kwaai, big family at Techstars. I'm a mentor at Techstars. David Cohen is a mentor of mine. They're like family to me. They, everything I've done over the years, they've always supported. I was one of the OG startup weekend organizers. So I know Mark, Frank, all those guys that were part of the original organizing crew. And so Techstars is literally we're gonna dig in with them. Kwaai maybe produce an event in Boston with them. So stay tuned, watch
Uh-huh.
the the site, the Palooza site.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
right.
said Arcus next is Chase, obviously. Mongo. So our boy Dave Nielsen is at Mongo. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Matt over at CouchDB. Um,
Yeah.
College of the Canyons. That's where Reese's wife Ruth works. Thank you, College of the Canyons.
So
Georgia Tech. Thank you, Georgia Tech. The state of Georgia. Thank you, County of Fulton and the city of Atlanta. We're going to be doing a really, really, really big hackathon in Atlanta.
That's
Atlanta's going to be huge.
It will
Yeah.
be. I
yeah,
was so
yeah.
proud. I'm from Mobile, Alabama, which is not
Oh, nice.
there. And I've, for 24 years been up here in the Pacific Northwest, but I used to go to Atlanta a lot and do shows. I
So
worked for
you understand that's the hot spot in the
Oh
South,
yeah, it's
right?
hot. And
That's
it's
right.
always in the place
And
down.
so for me, in LA, it's kind of like LA wasn't a tech.
Yeah.
It was all entertainment. And so
Uh,
for me, coming up to the Bay Area was like you getting up to Atlanta from Mobile, right? It's the happening spot in your region. The
yeah.
same for me,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you
That's
know.
right. That's right. Absolutely.
And so let me give you, so there's a few more sponsors I want to give some love to. Musa Capital. They're going to be sponsoring prize money, cold cash in multiple cities, Arizona,
Mhm.
LA, Atlanta, and San Francisco. Passbook Cartel, Treble Music,
Mhm.
um, Data Monsters. They're the largest NVIDIA partner. They're like the dev partner for NVIDIA. They're going to be bringing out some developers to mentor. They're sponsoring the Bay Area event.
Mhm.
Um, Coleus Ventures, which is my boy Zach.
Mhm.
Zach is an angel investor in the Bay Area. Well, he was. Now he's got a fund. He's all grown up. He started as an angel, you know, but now he has a fund, and he's going to be supporting Holmes Capital uh, out of Boston. They're putting up the money for MIT. So we're also Serge is a member. Thank you, Serge.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Doc is actually helping us with MIT. We haven't secured MIT, but we're going to put it out in public that we want
Yeah.
you. We
Yeah.
love you. We need you.
Right.
And Doc is going to be talking to somebody there. So I'm sure we're going to land at MIT. But
Right.
right now in Boston, we've got Techstars.
Right.
So thank you, Techstars.
There we go.
Um, and there's a bunch of other people, man. Like I can't even tell, like just in San Francisco alone, I'm looking at 24 other sponsors, including Fondo. Thank you to my boy Dave. If you need accounting software, Fondo is for startups. They're going to be giving away some credits. We'll be using it at Kwaai. So just really eating the dog food, man. Like we want to bring on sponsors that
Yeah.
we are thrilled and happy to either be using their product
Mhm.
or cheerleading for them,
Mm.
right? Oh,
Right.
what was the brother name yesterday, Karsten?
Oh, like Gravity.
Gravity.
Yeah,
Gravity. Yes. Give a shout out to Gravity.
yeah, Gravity
Gravity
AI.
dot yeah. They are going to be sponsoring and coming on as a mentor. But specifically, he's going to get down in San Diego because that's his backyard. So anybody in San Diego, check out Gravity,
Yeah, and
get involved,
well,
right?
one of the beautiful things about that, that's a company that's been around for a minute, and I love that conversation with the founder because what he's learned about product development in the AI world, there's a lot of people who need to learn that stuff. So
That's
these,
right.
these
So come learn
hackathons
from
are a
him is what
venue
we're
to
saying.
bring more out there than just
Oh, and he actually agreed to do a free product management
right,
course
right.
as a pre kind of course to the hackathons.
Yep.
So make sure you guys watch out for that. And then also we have another in Atlanta, uh, the Black Product Managers Association is also a community sponsor. They're going to be bringing out some product managers. So
Mhm.
if you are an association of any sorts, you support any ethnic group, underrepresented, please reach out to me and Karsten. We want to make
Yep.
sure that you have a place at this event. Disabled people, my blind people. I got a homeboy that's one of the coolest UX guys,
Yeah, yeah.
and nobody thinks about the blind, right? So please, if you're a disabled person, you're welcome to come to our events. We actually are adding a part of Kwaai, part of the pAIOS. Let me toot our horn a little. Is accessibility. That's what a personal AI system can do.
Yeah, yeah.
It can really help people that are blind
Mhm.
and have disabilities. So if you have a disability, you're listening to this, come out in your city, contribute. The developers don't know what they don't know.
Mhm.
So
Can I break in for something real quick on that?
yes,
Yeah, just that one of the differences about this hackathon and this movement compared to anything else is everybody always feels like a high technical barrier to people who are outside of technology. And I would look at this right now if I was outside saying, "Whoa, that's not for me," right? It's this, this technical AI thing.
AI.
But yeah, but what AI does is it actually helps make the technical part easier. Like Toby said, the non-technical founders. And so I've been telling all my networks of people, all my people in all my network in all the cities, like I need mentors from non-technology fields, people who just want to mentor and help people find a new way in life. And we were at a hackathon the other day, and one of the winning apps was a food chef based app. And we were talking like if there was somebody who knows how to work in a kitchen, someone who's a chef or does food prep would be able to give a lot of mentor capability to that group right there, right? And so we've just been thinking about that in terms of like accessibility means a lot of things, right? It's
Mhm.
physical accessibility to the space, it's making sure that people can come and make a difference from whatever role that they come from,
Right.
as a participant or as a mentor. And that includes having, some of these ones we're going to be having, we have online components using DevPost. We may look at doing some, 2 locations in one city with some cross-city rivals. There's a lot of things as sponsors are excited and want to like make things available because people are really sensing and know that we're at a sea change point of something happening, and that's a big part of this whole thing for us is that last day, that Sunday, the tech fair, where everybody can come out and we can have this level field to see what everyone's doing around AI within each city within that show.
Yeah, so let's double click, right? So besides having a call to action for you to come participate in the hackathon, there's also a call to action to the general public that's interested in AI to come meet the local AI startups in your town. The way we're addressing that is we're offering free community sponsorship packages to all Techstars AI startups. So if you are a Techstar alumni and you are in one of the cities that we're coming to, you automatically get a community sponsorship. And so reach out to me and Karsten and come and showcase your AI startup. If you're not a Techstar alum company, reach out to me and Karsten and let us enable you to also participate in this, because this is a way that you could come and build community for your startup. You may be recruiting, there's lots of talent there. There may be talent there looking for jobs, right? So really it's about engagement. And I tell the sponsors this, the number one metric that we have from the board is community engagement and not sponsor dollars. Don't get me wrong. I'll take $1 or I'll take $1 million. You can donate anything to Kwaai. Let me be clear. We are 501c3 and we are looking and we need sponsors and patrons. But we also, our mandate as an organization is to be for the people, and that means community first. So please, don't let lack of dollars keep you on the sideline. That's not a metric of success for us.
Right.
It's getting you off the sideline and getting you engaged is actually the metric of success. So
it's incredible, all the photos that I've seen in the past of things and events that you guys have held and everybody coming together. It's great. And that's what it takes. And it's about community anyway. And in the news, you can see, Microsoft's doing a lot with their, vision and Copilot and a lot of privacy encroaching type activity. It's kind of scary because on one hand, I really like Copilot. On the other hand, there's like all these extensions to things that are coming out where, it can remember what you saw and keep up with way too many things, perhaps. But, Kwai's been at this for a while now. And all of a sudden there's news of, people approaching something like this. But this is the open source version of anything that would be, really encroaching on your privacy. And it's powerful. And
well, let me tell like the audience too, because there's some big differentiators, right? Besides the privacy piece and having the pods and using solid protocol for privacy, which is the community inference layer that we're in R&D now in the community. We're testing out different stacks and tools and talking about how we're going to implement this. But that is big. Like the ability for the community to not have to pay these big hyper scalar cloud providers to run inference on their data for their personal AI by having it be a community driven network, peer to peer.
Right.
That's game changing.
Dude, you know something about this too. I want to bring this technical note up that really impresses me. Okay. So back in the early 2000s here in Seattle, we had the Greater Seattle Linux Users Group, okay, which I was a part of. And there was a really great project called the Seattle Wireless Project. Now, you did something very similar, okay, in LA.
Yep.
And so what it was, I'll tell everybody what it was in my area, and then you can go about yours, okay? So they would make a line of sight network of Wi-Fi as a private branch, okay, a private network where you could openly connect to it. And it used line of sight, what was called cantennas. So like a Pringles can, but it's the type of
Mm-hmm.
cantenna that gives you the directional, reach. So, and that worked, and that went across different mountaintops and all over the place. We're surrounded by water and mountains here, so it's extreme and very difficult at certain points to get coverage. But so that, and then so you did something similar in LA. You want to tell us?
Yeah.
So you know about building
Yeah.
an infrastructure, okay? I just want to drive that.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah. So one is because of the media and streaming stuff, right? I was a what people used to call us data center rats. It was just a cute term for a tech guy that literally slept in the data center.
Yeah.
And so, but that had some perks. I
Mm-hmm.
learned about things like metro area networks,
Yeah.
how the fiber was being laid across the backbone of a city or where it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
and privy to some information because I was a consultant to a property owner that was the largest or tallest building in Hollywood. While reviewing some uh, plans, basically a request for roof rights, I learned about this unlicensed band,
Mm-hmm.
2.4 gigahertz from the
Oh.
FCC.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew me away because, up until that point, every data transfer type of uh, wireless uh, frequency was licensed. This was the absolutely first wireless uh, uh, frequency that was allocated and dedicated that wasn't for consumer products, right? Like microwaves. Now, microwaves also operated, unfortunately, on the 2.4 gigahertz. So in the early beginning days of Wi-Fi, we had some issues, but I joined a project called Open Mesh Project
Mm-hmm. Right.
at MIT.
Yeah.
And that project was essentially the technology that provided that mesh architecture that you were referring to, that people started doing these using they would use this really low cost equipment. You could just take a Linksys router and literally flash it with our software, and then that Linksys low cost consumer router would become a commercial grade Wi-Fi mesh
Mm.
router that you could then share with your community. It
Right.
became a node. Like we had people like Farneris, they were doing this and creating peer-to-peer mesh networks and then
Mm-hmm.
doing phone calls over it. I think they started in Spain,
Wow.
Yep,
but
yep.
there was a lot of people that moved on the open mesh protocol,
Yeah.
and that's what kind of kicked off the really what we know. Like now what you see is Wi-Fi. Kids, they look at this, what is it, I don't know, they're up to N now or something. What is it, past N?
Yeah.
So, and the speeds are just way past what we were doing backflips for 100 megabits per
Yeah.
second wireless, right?
I remember.
Um, yeah,
That was good. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
we
yep.
great.
you know
And
we had a mesh network in Santa Cruz for a little while back. I don't know. Do you remember that one, Toby? That
I
ran out of the
do.
big yellow house and everything. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I do.
hmm
We
Yeah.
both live in Santa Cruz,
yeah,
Daniel.
yeah.
So
Cruz. Yeah, I have good stories of Santa Cruz. Beautiful place. You got to go if you haven't been. And I mean, and so on the heels of this conversation here about building communities, understanding infrastructure, and understanding the backbone of how to put some of these things together. The edge, storage,
yep,
talks that we've been having, which are community access points of hardware
yep.
locally in regions and areas and neighborhoods that can be commercial or public. Okay, different people can use it, but essentially
I
oh, go ahead.
no, sorry. Yeah, finish the thought. I was just like,
Yeah, so it's built for people to connect to and utilize this compute, which would be community compute. And I know it's not like completely commercialized, but it essentially some of our potential partners and people that we want to work with are willing to sponsor these types of efforts and have a go at it. And so I think, again, this is like a return for you, Toby, to your
Yeah.
network in a way, because
Yep.
again, for people who didn't, weren't following what Kwaai was or how this idea implements, but an operating system isn't just bare bones, I mean, it's like you say, Mac, it uses Unix, Windows used to run on top of DOS, and things like that. But this is not a standard boot up operating system that we've been talking about here. This is something that sits on top of other infrastructure, but is
Yeah.
its own network, its own ability to keep up and authenticate, and ultimately work for the user first.
Yes.
Yeah, let
Basically,
me,
in an
and
open way. So
I'm going to because I'm seeing the parallel back. I know exactly what you mean about because I just dropped a link to the phone in chat. Do you remember that one from back in the phone device FON, which
oh
was
yeah,
Yes.
right.
yeah.
So that was a people's Wi-Fi. You could share your Wi-Fi to other phone users, all that kind of stuff, right? And you had
Right.
some mesh capabilities. What I think that is the interesting thing that's happening out of Kwaai is this ability to it's that democratizing part, right? Where so one of the most let's take an example right now. People talk about Apple AirTags, right? And you think about, oh, these AirTags are useful. I can put one in my luggage, and when the airline says, I don't know, it looks like your luggage is still, in Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's here in Atlanta. I can see with my AirTag,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Those AirTags work by connecting to nearby iPhones and sharing on a backbone network to Apple where the AirTags are, right? So there's a couple things happening there. Like there's a parallel to what the pAIOS does. So pAIOS is not like it wouldn't be an app on your phone. It could be the OS that's running your phone, but it just as likely could be a layer that's happening on the phone that's
Yes.
connecting to your wearables, that
Mhm.
connects to your cloud storage, all of which is encrypted and inside of a virtual
That
pod.
connects to your NAS at home.
Next to your
Yep.
network, and that's
Yep.
exactly back home. You've got a little box. It's a network attached storage, and NAS. It does compute that you share with the rest of the people. So you're not sharing compute with a corporation. So similar to the phone, you're sharing amongst your network
Right.
of people, and you know your stuff in the world is backed up to your home, not just a magic cloud place, as well as a magic cloud place. You've got all those things. So it's this layer, this network layer that's happening on your device, and it means that we can build AirTag capabilities in this community on that network to share with each other, and it gets
That's right.
that. So you get the doers who want to do things will do stuff, and we can, and then when
Right.
ideas need out of policy need to have a thing done, then it can be
Yeah.
done on that network.
Yeah. And it really addresses this, I wouldn't say roadblock, but it's really expensive to run, what we're testing on like Azure, for example. I think
Yes.
yesterday's conversation, what was it, $2,000 a month? No,
For a bot that's not
20.
doing nothing.
Yeah, but I think it was actually 20,000. It was a very high number. Whatever the
Couple
quote was
No,
unacceptable.
it's
Uh,
2,000 per bot, but to do
uh-huh.
nothing but just stand it up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's
So,
not with major usage.
Yeah, and there
mhm,
could be more
Using more
efficient ways to do that right
GPU,
now, but that's
using
the
more
point is not.
GPU, it would go up to maybe tens or 20,000 per
Yeah.
college,
right.
right? And then that's definitely not like for a personal user. That's
Mhm.
who's going to have that kind of
W- w-
GPU power in their house.
Well, and when he says per college, by the way, we've all three of us stepped into a conversation about the Kwaai beta program that's going on this summer.
That's
Without, if we want to explain that one really quick to make that, is that where you
right.
were going with a little bit
Yeah,
of?
yeah,
Yeah.
announce that. Yeah, let's talk about the university that's getting involved here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Toby, I know, I know who at the list of people who have showed the expresses, but in terms of like who's on that, people who signed up is who we've got, right?
Oh, I don't know off the bat, but I know there's 13 colleges that have
Mhm.
already signed up.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I think I mean, it's one of those, like, one of those things in the academic world is and this is just a generalization, but generally things happen around what the professors want. So when a professor says, I want a thing to happen, that's how the university will move around to make that happen. So that's one of those, it started with it started with working with Bruce Schneier for the scale for the Southern California Linux Expo. He came and did a keynote, and after that conversation, we offered the Kwaai project offered to stand up a teaching assistant bot for him, basically one that would essentially it would hold only the knowledge related to what Bruce's writings, and everything else is not true, so that it could answer true questions based off of
Mhm.
his works. And so that expanded into the beta program, which is offering universities
so
essentially a teaching assistant and or a personal assistant. These two options. One, it's a reach out to the students or inward reach to you as a professor, only based off of your materials
Yeah.
and running on the university's networks, and then only pretty much for the students, because they're not going to want to open this up necessarily to the wide world because of these usage costs
Costs.
we're talking about.
Would this be local compute, Toby?
Yeah, this would be local compute.
This is what we're talking about. Okay.
And it is, we can say that this college is Harvard because that's where Bruce is, and they've already agreed. So we can say that Harvard's one of them.
Right.
College
I mean, I would go to the next point and say that part of what's great about the schools in that area, even though they're all rivals, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has worked hard to bring everybody together around certain things. So one of the groups that we're going to be working with is the New England Research Cloud, which Harvard and MIT and Boston University and Mass Amherst, everyone's a part of. And the NERC has got, sorry, that New England Research Cloud, the NERC is
right.
That thing has the capability to run these for each of these schools. So once we get things up and running on the NERC, they'll be able to reach out.
And just a side note to people out there who don't do anything like this, or maybe too deep into trying AI out on home hardware, it's really approachable these days. And you don't even have to have a fancy graphics card to have normal conversations with, lightweight models that get you really good results.
That's right.
Incredible. And especially in instances where you want, like Bruce, I think that's wonderful. It's very clear cut. It's either here's the answer or there's not an answer for that. No making stuff up. Very clear, definite. Yep. And I think that's wonderful. I think we need that. And a lot of talk is going around about this, in fact. So
and that's if there's any people in the audience that want to learn about like RAG, that's what we use to build the Bruce bot. You guys can download the repo for the assistant, the one we're referring to, and create your own bot. You can literally feed it your own data locally on your machine and have a talking or either some people want a avatar, some don't, but you can essentially have a assistant or an agent that you can query about your data set. And if you want to learn about RAG, it's a great way, just to jump in the work group, start downloading the code.
Right.
You have people you can tap, that are willing to answer your questions.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody who wants to just learn, I encourage you to download that Pi Assistant, because it is a RAG implementation.
Karsten, you want to put a link in the chat for everybody with that one. And to everybody out there that doesn't know, RAG is retrieval augmented generation. It's when the AI is the LLM model or bot or is able to access data that is a corpus that you have uploaded. It's retrieving and then it's generating based on that information. And so it's a great way to do a lot of different activities without necessarily having to fine tune a model. And you're giving it access to things like spreadsheets or PDFs and things like that. Depending on the model, it might be images and it might be
that's right, video.
There's a
it
lot,
could be
right?
video. That's right.
So, and in my tests at home, I've been having really great times with image to description, image to text, with very fast open models, and I'm having a great time. But back to the greater efforts here. It's really nice to see that, these larger universities and other schools have taken it upon themselves to participate in this community at large and to support these efforts, because ultimately there's too much of a monopoly going on with companies as it stands. And it's just, it's always the biggest people have everything, when it comes to data. And there's nothing wrong with owning your own data, and there's nothing wrong. You just have to take a little energy to manage that. But the community's here for that. And that's why we all get together every week and try to figure out what is the best approach, what does work, and then get right to it and have people who are actively coding, throughout the weeks and working on this. I know.
And if you're working on some solution, some open source thing that no one knows about, but you think it can actually help our project, please, jump on the calls. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to support your project. We're not.
This is
we're not open to new ideas, right?
pAIOS is a new integration layer. If you can think, I mean, just the way like Linux was an integration point for a number of years, it still is. Like you're going to need a Linux under there somewhere, some kind of operating system. But that's one of the reasons why we refer to the upstream project, the pAIOS as as that, because of
And you guys were talking about, mentioned universal executables possibly in the future for certain things. Is there any technical updates to that discussion, or am I just out on a limb
Well,
here?
yeah, that's no. Like, so
Yeah.
that's the end goal for sure, which is getting the ability for end users that are not as technical as us to just be able to download an executable on Mac, Windows,
Mhm.
and get and either stand up the pAIOS or stand up the assistant, the agent, right? So think of the agent as the front end. It's a front end implementation. And we're hooking right now, we've been building on a separate track, but currently, actually, the team is in the process of merging the back end pAIOS with the personal assistant RAG implementation that we did.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
And once you have those two, this will be a very powerful open source stack to start building on top of, right?
Uh-huh.
Even as a founder, I mean, I had a talk with a founder this morning that literally she started off with, I want to build open source. And I was like, all right, well, that's good. This could be a Kwaai alignment. And she kept going and she's like, yeah, I'm a professor. I have a syllabus of work. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, oh, holy God, here we go. This is just so
Yeah.
perfect alignment, like
Mhm.
literally. So it's an opportunity for her as a founder to save all that time trying to build this piece and just build an ability. Now she can
Yeah.
focus on, okay, well, if that stuff already exists in the world for, and I can just walk it into schools as part of my solution to give it to them
Right.
and then charge them for my ability on top of it, that really resonated. So
Mhm.
once again, you guys come out to these events. We'll have the APIs and documentation, done by the first event in LA. We're
Mhm.
frantically working on that now. Sam is leading that charge, and he's told us that he'll have it ready. And come out and build an ability, build a business on the pAIOS,
Mhm.
build your startup on this open source platform that you can contribute to, but also it provides you with uh, a layer of acceleration for your AI project.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I wanted to stitch. I'd like to take a moment to stitch the both ends of this conversation together a little bit too, because I was thinking back. So I was thinking back to when Toby was earlier when you were talking. Toby was talking about how the hackathon, the after party on Friday had started out as these conversations where we're talking about all this stuff we can do, we want to do, and how we want to do it, and fundamental AI policy
Mhm.
conversations and everything. Let's do some stuff, right? And this is the this is kind of the what's the magic. One of the magics of open source is open source is not a thing you talk about, it's a thing you do, and that
Yeah.
ultimately you can't get it unless you do it in some way. But
Mhm.
the other part of why it's worked so well and has grown and to become the dominant way that people develop software, but also that the current statistic people are popping around is like 96% of applications that are made today include open source software, and it's not uncommon for it to be for most of the software in an application to be open source, except for the
A
glue
little
and the
bit.
thin layer on
Yeah.
top. And
Mhm.
that makes perfect sense. It's exactly like what Toby just said about that professor. Like, don't waste your time inventing from, creating the silicon and writing an operating system. Like, just do the thing
Uh-huh.
on top, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. And so I
And
have a technical question for everyone, and and it's something we don't always have time for. There's so many things to cover in meetings, but when it comes to managing that data, okay, and managing a corpus of data, like the professor wanted to make her material
Mm-hmm.
accessible, okay, so how is there a really good general approach that everyone has been adopting lately to do this? Is there a basic, a
Well,
lot of us experiment with different embedders and different vector databases. Is there
yeah.
anything
So
that you guys are really hooked into that you like?
so we have not kind of published a reference stack yet.
Hmm.
We are still experimenting with different tools ourselves.
Gotcha.
But we plan to publish a like this is the optimal stack to run Kwaai OS.
Hmm.
And really,
right?
what's really important part of this is the right now the world is undergoing a conversation, or the world, my world, around what is open source AI and what is not. The
Mm.
open source initiative is working on a definition. There's a lot of open washing happening where companies are calling their thing open source when it's really not.
Yeah,
And it
open weights,
matters.
but not an open source. Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
and they'll call it open source and say it's open source like, or it's an open source in nature, but having the code be available visibly is not making it open source. Having it be under a license that means that you have the permissions to do what you want without asking for permission, and knowing that in the future
Yep.
things aren't going to get pulled out from
Mhm.
the rug's not going to get pulled out. Like that's what a license does.
Yes.
And so that's one of those, that's part of this experimentation process is we still it's not clear to people who are creating AI systems what it means when you've got a non-open source or an open source component in there and how it affects things. So,
Yeah.
so that's part of the experimentation, is making sure that we put together the best of class capability, but
Right.
we're also having a stack. We also can have a stack that's free and open source. And it
Mm.
may be that we have two reference platform, or like there may be more than one way to tie this because of how infrastructure, how stuff works. But the idea is to be able to give people the choice
Yeah.
when possible to choose. Like, for example, you may want to choose your own large language model, and if
Oh,
you want to choose an open source one or not, we should just be able to plug it
right.
into our system, right?
Exactly. It
That's
needs to
right.
be popular, and it's like, what is it? Multimodality is really important these days. And you can't fall behind the curve of that. And you really have to maintain, you have to bridge that divide. Okay. You can't just let the big players in the field have that only, because there's
No.
so many ways to approach this. And so even now, recently, and to some of the more technical people out there, and even if you're not, there's open source program that you could download to any computer, Linux, Windows, or Mac, and it's called Olama. And it helps you download and manage different models locally on your computer, being open weighted or open source or not, okay, but definitely accessible and free to use to a certain point, or totally free. And it works great. Now they let you run multiple models at the same time without having to unload and reload things. And so you can maintain several types of models to say, oh, here's one that summarizes really well. Here's one that can take images and describe them and understand what you're seeing perhaps. And then here's a really a more robust one that actually can have that conversation with you and put it all together. But the technology is here right now where, like you're saying, someone should be able to come up with whatever, step up to the plate with whatever model they would like to use, and it be modular, the system around that, just to plug it in and go. Okay. And I really like that idea. Um, and as things grow, I think the way in which we engage that corpus of data later, the way we're doing embeddings, the way this stuff is actually coming to fruition, it seems to be different for different types of subjects, different types of files, different types of documents. There's different ways to do it. So there's not one way of doing that. I just wanted to point that out to everybody who's technical or not. I mean, it's not that there is more than one way to do it, but there is no one certain way to do it right now that's really ticking all the boxes for every use. Okay, it's
Right.
a growing art, and it's working its way into being more of a science.
Test.
Yes, yes. So um, let's see. So Toby, what's next up? When is the next step
So
for Kwaai and pAIOS?
yeah, so the next thing is we want to get as many people banging on the operating system. And then the first event is June 21st in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And that also, if you are not in Los Angeles, you can
Mhm.
participate through DevPost. So please just join the Kwaai community
Yeah.
and we'll get you lined up. If you just want to check out the event, you can always go to pAIPalooza.com. I
Mhm.
think I saw Karsten put a link maybe in there earlier, but
Mhm. We got
uh, okay. Yeah. So if you go to the site, you can register.
And that's
Um,
Pi as in PAI Palooza, in case so it's not Pi as in Python.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Yeah, personal AI operating system. Yeah, X. Yeah, this is fantastic. Let's see. So yeah, in June. Now I looked at your tour and Seattle's on the map.
Yep.
Yes.
I know it's TBA and it's probably private, but you know
No,
you're
it's all with the dates are all out there. We're currently set
okay.
for the first weekend in August, I think.
For the location, exactly.
Oh,
I'm
the
just saying,
location, yes.
but you'll see.
Location, I'll tell you, and this is on Riza to solidify, but he volunteered Real Networks. So
Yes.
I'm gonna say he's probably got a little bit of a connection over there.
Right. Right.
I'm just, I'm going out on a limb here,
They
right?
have two lanes of a bowling alley. They have two
But
bowling alley lanes
just
underneath
in
the
case, just in case, right? I do know Rob Glazer and Phil Rosedale, who was the
Right.
CTO back when I first met Real Networks at
Mm-hmm.
the first Streaming Media West show in San Jose.
Yeah.
So like I'm pretty confident that we could pull off Real Networks, right? So we'll go ahead and say that in public
Okay.
as the host.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone in the community, whether that's real network, what is Riza calling them, the fellows,
Yeah.
any real network fellows out there, please step up across the board. We need you
Right.
across the country. But if
Uh-huh.
you're in the Seattle area, we expect to see you in the building mentoring these young bright minds.
Yeah. I'll be there. Definitely. I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be incredible. When I saw the tour, I was like, "Wait, what color is the bus? What is it? Where do I stand?"
See,
Anyway, so
now you're gonna make me go do some mid journey prompts. That's what you're gonna make me do. I see what's going on here. The big
oh goodness,
setup.
this is great. So, and Karsten, do you have any other technical things you'd like to share with us here? As we probably have another 10 minutes here, so I just want to make sure I get everything in today.
So technical stuff, right? So no, I don't get to just ramble about community and open practices or anything else like that, right? Yeah, that's good. That's I think that one of the things to me that was really, I mean, is just that the opportunity of what the hackathon really provides, right? It's
Yes.
when people talk a lot about how people are curious about how an open source project works, for example, and that's basically what happens right there is like people get together and just around, it's a mini open source project in a lot of ways, just
Yeah.
without the where the hackathon itself provides the permission to just share ideas and do things.
Mm.
So there's a culture that comes up around it. So I think that's one of the interesting things that we're kind of facing with is all of that. But it's making um
Well,
what's the
one
thing?
thing I want to bring up,
Nothing.
if
Go,
you don't
man.
mind, Carson, is because of Musa, sponsoring the hackathons, we are Kwaai community is mentoring for the Musa Capital hacker houses, and we could use some support for the hacker houses, and that's mentors, food sponsors. I mean, literally, he's it's a for a small fund, it's a big effort, right? He's
Yeah.
basically doing 3 of these hacker houses, and this was not something planned. This was just like, he saw the need. We shared some
Mhm.
information about something we saw with some Black students, and some dots that needed to be connected to kind of accelerate them in this AI space.
Mhm.
And he just moved on it, right? And so we want to rally around him and try to support. So anyone that has any connections with historical Black colleges, any Black students that are in the computer science majors in Atlanta, San Francisco, and Phoenix, those are where the physical hacker houses will be.
Mhm.
But virtually, he has an externship where anyone can participate, and me and Karsten are driving that program, and
Uh-huh.
it's open source.
Right.
It's
Right.
actually open source cap table management tool. And if you're a founder and how costly Carta is, or one of these cap table tools. So wouldn't it be awesome that you could have that tool until you got to the inflection point where you could start paying someone like a Carta, or even um, uh, AngelList, or where there's several people that do cap table management, eh, but in the beginning, that's a big fee, but you still need it. because you're trying to recruit people, you're trying to give them options or give them shares or pay them, use equity. It's the only thing you got,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we just figured that would be a great way to get students involved. It's a way for Musa to give back to the community for
Yeah.
emerging managers. And so anyone that has interest in venture capital, join this open source project as a computer science student, even if you're not Black. We have a call to action because we've noticed some gaps in Black CS students that we want to help bring them up to speed. So when they graduate, they're actually ready for the market.
Right.
Because
Right.
let's face it, our schools are 10 years behind. And if you don't come from a family infrastructure that pushes this stuff and prioritizes it,
right.
Yeah, it's hard. How to go
it's
to college?
hard.
You'd have to learn, and if you don't have that in the family, and this is and so this is us kind of we're joining. There's been a lot of summer of code kind of programs over the years. This is a great
Right.
place
Right.
to. There's been a couple of things that are similar, like ones that are similar in this in terms of trying to approach underrepresented groups for sure.
Right.
And I think this the venture capital aspect and so forth is something that's particularly unique about this program. And then and in the world where it's possible to become a founder so much easier than it was before.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And Toby, get with your friends in Atlanta. Get them to reach
Yes.
get them to reach out to Grambling State in Alabama and Tuskegee.
Okay. Let me do
Okay?
that. Yep.
Tuskegee,
Kwanzaa. Yep.
Grambling. Okay, you got to do that because you'd be missing out on some bright
Well,
minds.
look, just so you know,
Mm-hmm.
you are part of Kwaai.
I know.
And so you actually have it actually sounds better when you go to him. You can go right in the Slack and ping Kwanzaa
Yeah.
and tell him you want to make sure
Oh, I
that
will.
Grambling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that you if you're an alum, this is another way we can bring Kwaai to another school. Is that angle right there?
Yeah.
All
Exactly.
over it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's make that happen.
Right.
And any other schools there that you think, actually, my buddy Nam, his father is a professor at one of those schools. You just reminded me of that. So let's
Great.
actually
Yeah.
let's get Alabama on the map.
Yes, definitely. And so, for everybody out there, I mean, this is a wonderful hands-on effort. This is not an idea. This is not a lot of crazy people sharing the same idea. This is a lot of experienced technical minds who really care about community and education and outreach and sovereignty and owning your data and your privacy and your data rights. There are so many reasons to be involved in this. And even if you barely have time, you can still join and contribute in many ways, like spreading the word. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to have any money. You can come in and bring community. You can come in and bring a good spirit. You can, like I
That's
said,
right.
this is for everyone. Okay. And you can leave it up to other people to manage that, or you can be a part of your own sovereignty in that way and be responsible for it. Maybe this is new to some people. Maybe this is not. And if you've been a part or around the open source community to any degree, then you've benefited from that. Even if you don't know, you've benefited from it. It's a communal effort. And so it didn't take me long to see the value in this. And it's always been exciting. And again, every Friday is fun with our meetings and what we get to do and who comes in and talks. It's highly educational. So anyway, I feel very fortunate to have found Kwaai and to met both of you and to get to share what we all do together on a weekly
Yep.
basis and to really try to put our heads together to make something new, to reach for a better tomorrow, to build something that we can all maintain and understand, something open source and accessible. These are high points of value. And in that lies like I said, many opportunities for someone to understand, grow. Hey, take on if you have gaps in your employment, come join Kwaai. It's a nonprofit. You can actually work there and be a part of projects. I know that Reza is always talking about this, so I figured I would echo that to everyone here. And again, a variety of levels. And
You're gonna learn. The minimum takeaway, you guys, that you could just benchmark is that you're gonna learn, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna come away smarter and with a deeper, richer network.
Exactly. So Anyways, I tell you what, that's time for us today.
Right.
You got any last words here on the to share with us, or I see we dropped all the links here for everybody. We've got summerofcode.ai. We've got everything from the GitHub
The
for
Git repos. Yep. Yep.
I would say that the as an open source person, I'd say that these it's an early adopter phase with the open source project side. So don't be surprised at what's not there. If you're like, hey, that's missing, then come help us make it happen. There's things like the community governance is something that is a conversation that still has to happen, and so on. So it's kind of that part. It's a great, it's a great time for that.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to see the progress, everybody. Again, this isn't some ideas that we talk about every week. There are steps made every week. Reese is on this every day, working at this. Maybe he takes his birthday off. Maybe he takes his anniversary off. But other than that, he's always working.
It sounds like he's going to take Monday off because he told us all on Friday to take Monday off. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm working on Monday.
Anyway, well, look, everybody, I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to what we had to say here. It's a wonderful opportunity, and provides everybody with a way in to participate and for the common good. And so, Toby, Karsten, thank you so much for coming out. To everybody out there, have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again soon next week.
Great. Thanks.
Till then, take care.